Pistons last night. They will be in Detroit to play them again tomorrow night. That's a 7 o'clock tip here on WMMS. I didn't realize that we had another Aussie on the Cavs.
Yeah, we got two. Dante Exum.
Dante Exum, which sounds like a Catholic rite of exorcism.
Dante's Exum.
I was listening to some of the game last night, and they're talking to that dude. I'm like, who the hell is this? Dante Exum. So him and Dellavedova, both from Australia, yeah?
Yeah.
He's still playing. Dellavedova's still on the Cavs?
Yeah, Dellavedova's still there and
All
missing shots like crazy.
He's missing a lot of shots?
Yeah, he's bad at shooting. He's got a terrible shot.
So what's his strong suit?
He's a good passer. He's good defensively.
A good passer?
Yeah.
Wow.
But he's got a lot of intangibles, but his shot is trash.
Huh. All right. So if you're a coach, you've got to see a guy who's got great intangibles.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. John Beeline's got to know what to do with Delhi.
Yeah.
And now Dante Exum.
Well, Dante Exum's a
Dominus
better
Olmans.
player. Yeah.
He what?
He's a better player than Delhi.
Okay.
I'm good on Delhi. If they get rid of Delhi, I'll be happy about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Delhi kind of.
We still have Delhi? We
got
have him
back.
again?
Yeah.
He was in Milwaukee for a minute, and then he came back.
I mean,
here.
he's a good player, but he's not. He doesn't.
I think I went to like Australia night or something. Or it was like Australian Day. Kangaroo Day. It was something.
Are they the only two Aussies on the team, or are there more?
This was last year or the year before. Whenever he was here last, and there was like a big Australian Day celebration at the Cavs game that I went to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, there you go. I know there was that band that made that Dellavedova song for everybody.
Dellavedova, Dellavedova,
Mm-hmm. The poor, speaking of Australia, a third of that country is on fire. And the Prime Minister still is out there telling people, come to Australia. It's still a beautiful place to come visit. We got kangaroos. We got koalas. You can still bring your families, have a fine time. Even though 2,500 fewer koala bears are alive for you to enjoy.
Never been easier to put a shrimp on the barbie.
But so much of Australia is tourism.
Yeah.
So even though your country's on fire, you still got to tell people, don't worry about it.
Your Australia guy kind of sounds like he's from Pittsburgh.
I can't do Australia. I can't nail Australia. I can do a lot of other stuff.
I feel like I have to hear it before I can do it.
I know.
It's one of the ones I've practiced in my car, Australian.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Give us some Australian.
I'm trying to think. Actually, Will Anderson, Alan Cox Show Comedy Tour alum.
Yeah.
I watched his video, and then I was talking like that for like an hour. What does he say? He's like, I love to drink during the day.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, right. I use a lot of Uber.
Yeah, Uber. Yeah, Nicole Kidman.
Take a lot of Uber.
Right.
I have a beer with Brecky.
You're not bad at it. You're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I practiced this one. This is one
So
that
you
I'd
can
like
hear
to nail
it,
down.
and yeah,
but I have to listen to it first and then like say it with it, if that makes sense.
I guess I find the accent is very annoying to me.
I like it.
So I don't
it's
spend
hot.
a lot of time sitting with it.
Super sexy.
So I won't do an accent for this guy. Right?
Okay, there you go.
Hi, I'm Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, and please come
Make
visit.
it from Pittsburgh.
Yeah. All right, so who knows how I got to be Prime Minister here in Australia, but there's a lot of fire, and we got kangaroos and koalas and such, but it's still a wonderful place to come, dine, bring your family, enjoy the holidays.
Wonderful.
Out here on Kangaroo Island is obviously decimated, but, you know.
Obviously might be my favorite.
Obviously decimated. So, yeah, this guy's got to be out there going, look, I'm urging foreign tourists, still come and enjoy all of the beauty and splendor that is Australia. Australia is
still can.
open, and it's a wonderful place to come and bring
There you go. It's a wonderful place.
A wonderful
to
place.
come to the outback.
To come and bring your family, and enjoy your holidays.
Your holidays.
I guess the A's are more like eyes,
It's,
right?
Yeah.
Holidays.
Your holidays.
Holidays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's the nuances that are tough to nail. That's the stuff that's easy to get.
Yeah.
Just swapping out the sound.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of little nuances in any accent, and I can never nail Australia for some reason. There are people I know far less talented than I who nail it. They have a great Australian accent.
Right.
Yeah, I've just never been able to nail it. So this guy is out there. He's like, look, I know it looks bad, and it really, really is. But still, make the 19-hour flight. I mean, obviously, that's from America. They get people from all over the world.
I almost...
He's
early
like
last year. Go ahead, sorry.
No, he's just out there going, we want to keep our local economies vibrant.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, I get why you guys need this, but I'm going to, no matter, it's not like whatever's on fire, the smoke is confined to that area, right? When that much is on fire, you're going to be walking through Sydney or Perth or wherever, and you're going to be breathing. I'm not going to,
Yeah, it's all
I'm going to go home with lung cancer, so you guys, your local economies are doing all right. Like, I get where you're coming from, but boy, that is a high confront, my friend.
I think I'm going to take an Australia trip solo. That was what I wanted to do for my 30th birthday.
Should apply to some festivals over there.
I actually talked to Will about it, and he was like, they have the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, which is like huge, which is more like the Fringe Festival, where he's like, you have to have like an hour of what you want to do, and you pitch it as an hour-long show. And I just didn't have that at the time last year, because I was thinking about, like, this time last year, I was like, I want to spend my 30th birthday in Australia. And I thought about going for like a month. That was the other thing he said.
You cry
when
like, you're alone for a week.
No, I don't. Loneliness doesn't bother me.
Since when?
I do not cry from being
Were you
alone.
here yesterday?
That's not what that was. I said that I didn't think it was fair that I was so scarred from that relationship and he wasn't. It had nothing to do with me not having a boyfriend.
No, not that particular conversation yesterday, but you've had some issues with being alone for long periods of time.
Well, okay, that's different too, though.
And now you're going to go to Australia for a month,
No,
a foreign country for a month?
What I'm saying is it's different being somewhere like that and exploring and being around and driving 6 hours every day in your car to a different city. Those are two completely different traveling techniques.
Okay.
I had a breakdown in Minnesota because I was on the tail end of a 4-month road trip, essentially. And it was just driving, and I was tired and out of money and every other thing.
Okay.
Don't make me seem like some lonely bitch who cries in her apartment.
I'm not. I'm just going.
We didn't make it seem like that.
Past is prologue. I'm just saying. I mean, from what you've said, I didn't know if a month in a foreign country where you know 0 people, other than one, Will Anderson.
Well, he's here.
He lives there. He's been there for like 2 years.
Yeah, he lives there, but you don't know if he'll be in town or whatever,
But he was saying that if you are going to go there, you should go for like a minimum 3 weeks, because he's like, it is a terrible flight. It's long. You're jet lagged for like 3 days after. 3 or 4 days, and he's like, so if you only come for a week,
and there's a lot of ground to cover.
There's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to see. He's like, you need to take about 3 weeks to do it.
How long is the flight?
Like 19 hours.
Wow. I really would. I had this conversation many years ago with Lewis Black about going to Australia. And I would very much like to go to Australia. It seems like a beautiful place. I have friends who are Australian.
It's a bucket list for me.
But it's like, God, that flight. Because you're right.
But if you're there for 3 weeks and you have time to readjust, and because when I was in Hawaii, because it's 6 hours back, so that threw me off. The first 3 or 4 days I was there, I was like, man, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning here. I can't go to sleep. Like,
yeah, but then I
didn't adjust back to our time until Monday.
Right, when I was back in
Vegas, I got on that schedule, and I stayed on that schedule all week last week.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I was in Seattle and Portland, I was gone for 13 days, and I got back. I'm like, damn, it screws with you, man. You can't. And then by the time you do adjust, if you're only there for 7 days, it's time to come home again.
Right, but 3 weeks is long enough to adjust to there. And then you got to come back
and adjust to that.
And adjust to. You need another 3 weeks.
Yeah. Right, it's not worth going anywhere.
Never leave ever.
Yeah, stay.
No, listen.
Where
I
you're at.
love traveling. I really do. But Australia has been that one where I was like, boy, I don't know if I want to go there that badly.
I do.
I like being there
because I wouldn't.
I know rigmarole is too much for me.
I don't. The traveling is fine too. It's just it is what it is. But I wouldn't go for 3 weeks. I know that. I wouldn't go for 3 weeks.
I can't do
anything with the flight being like 10 hours or more than that. Like when you can't. My one sister came to Hawaii for 6 days, and I was like, dude, she was so screwed up because by the time she got there, we had maybe a day and a half or 2 days on their schedule, and then she left again, and it was just like, It's not worth it, man. You got to be able, if you're going to do it, you have to do it to enjoy it.
That was one of the things that was nice about when we went to Jamaica is we were on the same time.
That was great.
So that was really nice to not have to.
Were we? I
adjust.
didn't
we were on
remember
the exact
that.
same time.
Yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
a time change.
No
Thanks
time
for that trip
change.
again, Alan. That
I
was
want to
awesome.
go somewhere.
You got to go to Arizona. You weren't even on the show then.
Yeah, well, I was a +1. I stayed at a hotel drunk for 2 days.
So that's what you wanted
Yeah.
to do.
I know, but I want to do a show trip. I want to go to Jamaica.
I always
Take
said
me
that.
to Jamaica, Alan.
You got in, unfortunately for you, you got in right as I put a moratorium on show trips.
Did you?
Yeah.
What a
sorry.
bummer.
Or we'll go someplace that you don't want to go.
Like Nelson's Ledges.
Menominee Falls, Wisconsin.
I am going there.
Oh, what?
I already booked my flight from Menominee, Wisconsin.
Alan, my friend had a 31-hour layover in L.A. on the way to Australia.
Forget that. That's someone
That's
trying
for
to save
31
$100.
hours.
That's bad planning.
You have to get a hotel at that point. You're not going to stay at the airport for
No.
damn near 2 days.
No, you get the voucher and all that. You know, probably the smart move is you let them bump you, and then you just get the money and the voucher and the whole thing, and you kick it.
Forget that. I never understood that. People are like, I have a 9-hour layover. I'm like, spend the extra $40 and just switch planes
Well, no, it
somewhere.
depends on where
Ours
you
was
are.
6.
We had a 12-hour layover in Miami a few years ago, and we rented a car and dicked around all day
Yeah,
long.
that's
It was a
different, I
lot of
guess.
fun. Yeah, it was great.
It's a vacay on your vacay.
Sure.
I try to keep my time in between flights like under 2 hours. Or I'll just pick a different flight.
I bet, though, when you get off the plane in Sydney or whatever, I bet it smells great. I bet it smells, you know what I
Not
mean?
right now it doesn't.
No, like that
Like burning
bonfire
carcass?
barbecue smell. I bet it smells great because they're cooking koalas out there. And, you
Overcooked,
okay?
though.
Huh?
They're overcooked.
Yeah, but from that far away, I bet it still smells good.
Can
You're
you
like,
see-
I'm glad I came out here.
Like, I wonder how that flight in will look like. You just see a bunch of
I would be
smoke
pretty
and
scary.
It looks like hell. Like you're flying into hell.
Yeah, into flames.
Alan, a friend of mine just got back from there. Only one thing was canceled. Everything else was fine.
You go from the land down
Well,
under.
yeah, again, it's hard. I haven't looked that deeply into it, but, you know, if you're not paying that much attention, they make it sound like the whole
Continent.
is on fire, and that's not the case.
Well, they think the same thing about California, but I forget the comedian that we had in here that lived in California. He said you forget that the rest of the
Dalton.
town. Yeah, Dalton. He was like, you forget that the rest of the town is burning. I'm like, really? I mean, sorry, Cleveland's not that big. I just couldn't imagine like the whole East Side is burning, and then the West Side just like going about their day.
Well, that
We've
is-
never neglected the East Side.
But like it's not on fire. Like thousands of acres are burning. Like they have thousands of acres to spare in California.
the wind would be going east anyway, right? So if the east side were on fire, we'd never get any of it on the west
Yeah.
side. Be like, what is it?
Well, it's like when there's snow on the East Side, it doesn't affect
Yeah,
us
like
on the
when
West Side.
Ashtabula
Yeah.
gets hammered with snow.
Yeah.
They've got 4 feet of snow. I'm in Rocky River. It's a light dusting.
But I'm just
In
saying,
shorts.
Right.
acres to spare. Like I just don't know how you could just.
Well, they're not really to spare. There's people being displaced by all the fires and stuff.
Yeah, but the city still operates.
Yeah, well, they can't shut everything down
But
just for no. Like if they're not on fire, you don't shut down if you're not on fire.
I'm saying like Atlanta gets a little bit of snow one time and they shut the whole city down.
Well, that's
Because they're
different.
not prepared for it.
Yeah, because
They're not prepared for a
it's
fire.
it's
And that's the
usually
whole
70.
city. Yeah.
Australia is prepared for fire because these aren't the first fires they've ever had.
They're just the biggest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they have plenty of fires. But yeah, the cities will still continue to. But to your point, Cleveland isn't LA or Chicago. So it's like if something's happening out in the suburbs way out there, you wouldn't feel it in the city.
No.
You know? If you're in I told you this when you were out there. If you're in Seattle, a lot of the wildfire smoke and all that goes right up the coast and you know, people in Seattle deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying if you were in one of the metropolitan areas of Australia, there's going to be some smog or something, I would think. I don't know.
But maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in Seattle and Portland, there was no effect. No smog, no campfire smell.
No rules, just deadly infernos, someone says.
Hey, there you
Except
go.
that's not their slogan anymore, is it, Bill?
No.
Deadly Inferno.
What is it?
Down, chicka, down, down. What's the new Australian rules, or what is it?
Outback.
Outback.
I thought you were doing there.
I did that stuff back, but that was like June.
Oh, June. Who can remember? There's just no way to tell.
It was no rules
What
just
it was.
right, but that's not what it is anymore.
Uh-huh.
Let's see.
The Bloomin' Onion.
That's how you know that disco drums, those beats, are not difficult to play, because like the guy playing is standing up. He's like, I don't care. I don't need to.
Done right. That's it.
Done right.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yep.
Done right.
Out of control. It was so entertaining. When the boogie started to flow, I heard somebody say, "Deadly Inferno."
These guys were one of the first disco bands. This was like before disco blew up, I think. And so then this song, they kind of sailed into that whole thing. But disco, as a cultural phenomenon, was really short-lived. It was not around for a long time.
How many years?
Maybe 2.
2?
Yeah, maybe 2.
How could it make that much of an impact and it only had 2 years?
Because it was there were radio stations in New York flipping to disco, and they quickly exploded. But there were clubs, and I mean, it's not like Des Moines was overrun by disco. It was largely the major cities, because there were more people willing to open clubs. You had Studio 54 in New York. But other than that...
And it just kind of evolved into back into pop music anyway. Like
yeah,
dance
that's
music.
right.
I mean, it had its moment.
But the Tramps were from Philly, and they were doing this as early as like 72. And disco didn't hit. I think Saturday Night Fever was a big part of that too.
Like 77 to 79. But I remember one of my favorite episodes of the show Freaks and Geeks is like that takes place in the 80s. Like it's like 1980. And they're trying to, like, disco's done, and one of the, Jason Segel goes to one of the disco clubs that's in a bowling alley in town, and it's just, like, 4 people dancing.
Yeah.
But he has a blast.
So, like, disco is dead at that point.
I think of Cafe Disco in The Office.
Yeah.
I wonder how long the disco era was, because it was not long.
The disco balls outlasted the disco era
They did.
Tenfold.
So many more years.
Because I think the sound existed before it was a big thing. Like, there were bands doing that kind of wow thing.
Yeah, and then it's kind of a play off of funk.
Yeah. And then it got into clubs.
Yeah.
And then everybody was taking cocaine.
And everything, yeah.
You take some music, you mix some cocaine.
I feel like...
And some sexual promiscuity, and you got yourself a movement.
AIDS also didn't help with all the disco going on.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, there you go. There's your little history.
Disco Inferno.
Hey. Okay. Hey, Def Leppard. I don't know if they were ever in any kind of disco capacity whatsoever. I mean, they kind of broke stateside in the early 80s, but I don't know if they ever dabbled in disco before that. I think they sold their souls for rock and roll. That's probably pretty safe. But they're doing a stadium tour next summer with Motley Crue, who were gone for a minute, and they're back. And then Joan Jett and Poison to do it with them, too. July 3rd, Independence Day weekend, they're going to play First Energy Stadium. I'll have the tickets for you after the break.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS. And everywhere you go on our free iHeartRadio app. The countdown to the